So if you look over there, you will see that there is a hole at the very top. And that's a spy hole at the very entrance of the first Church of England built in this country. And in that hole, it is at the top of the dungeon. Then you realize that the church will be at the top of the dungeon as well. So the first Church of England was built on top of the main dungeon. And the Europeans were there, worshipping God. And together Christianity slavery went on here for about 200 years. So looking at the whole thing, do you honestly think the Africans that were here at that time were even seen to be humans? That's the question. Well, wonderful guest, I want you all to know that they were never seen to be humans, but rather goods or let's say commodities. That makes Cape Coast Castle not a castle at that time, but rather a factory. A factory not for producing anything, but rather pens for holding captives. And so gold, ivory, spices, African men and women, all of that will come under the same umbrella. Now looking at the whole thing, whenever they sent Africans from the continent of Africa to the Americas, they were always looking to converting them into becoming Christians. If I am going to make you become a Christian, I have to give you a very good perception about it. So I will build my church on top of the dungeon. I will worship God in there, singing praises, hymns, and preaching fruit ceremonies, parts that are funny. We are going to giggle and laugh at it and all of that, and you're going to hear it down here. If you are hearing it down here, you are rather in shackles and chains, sleeping beside your piss and poop. And you either belong to African traditional religion or Islamic religion, because prior to the Europeans' arrival, the Arabs had already been. Psychologically, if you are in this, as a normal human being, you will think that your religion is horrible and your gods have abandoned you. So then, when that is being forced on you, then it becomes much easier for it to be embraced because of the perception you have of it. But then if you critically look around the world, you realize that people have always used religion to do very insane stuff. But the question is, did the religion itself walk out there to do all these things? It's people that always do it. That is why I tell most people that come around that if you belong to a certain spiritual body, my brothers and sisters, it's supposed to be about your heart and how you feel about it, and not what others do with that thing. Else you will never live your life the way you're supposed to live it. Well, I'll say no more. Let's continue on. So this is the last, or the fifth room. And here you see a shrine, what we call African traditional religion, where people believe in the existence of the supreme maker, but then worship him through lesser gods, believe in the spirit of these gods, live in things of nature. And so the Almighty God will be worshipped through his own creation. But then wonderful people, the shrine we see here was not here during slave trade, it was somewhere in the town. It was only returned here around 1960 when Ghana had become a republic after independence in 1957. Because the chiefs around here came to realize the Europeans they gave the land to, they moved out and they will never return. So they decided to come here, they built this very altar and brought the stones back to its original place. That is why you see it here now. But it was taken out of here when the land was given out to the Europeans earlier. At the back of this one, you will see this very short, thick wall. This short, thick wall has never been a part of the original building. Then it means there must be something hidden at the back of it. Wonderful guess, that happens to be an underground tunnel that connected the men's dungeon and the door we returned about 80 meters from here. So all the African men that were supposed to be staying here, whenever the ships came, none of them was ever allowed to exit through the courtyard. They would rather shackle and chain everybody. They forced them to go through the underground tunnel from here. Late in the night when the whole town is very quiet and asleep, and at that time as we walk through the underground passage, the heat trapped in there, the heat your body will generate.
There were African overseers who held whips, checking on the outward brothers, but for them to be able to see through the tunnel, they needed lanterns. And these lanterns has got fire. So it will add up on the inside. It becomes much hotter. You go through it. By the time you are there, you are so drained that you don't have the energy. You fight back and free yourself. So that makes it much easier for the Europeans to move the captives from one end to the other without stress. So that is the purpose of the tunnel. But it was blocked off in 1833 when slave trade ended in all British colonies in West Africa, and there is no way any of us here can go through it. But when they blocked it, they converted parts of it into water systems and storage spaces. Why storage spaces? After the slave trade, colonial rule had started, and so the Europeans were staying here ruling over the nation, and if I'm managing the nation's affairs, I'm managing the nation's natural resources automatically. If I'm doing that, I will need more storage rooms because I can exploit whatever I'm managing. So that is why parts of the tunnel ended up becoming storage spaces. And all the wreath you see here were brought here by Africans from the diaspora. They bring them over to pay their respect to their ancestors from time to time. That is why you see them all over the place. And there is more light in here because of the tunnel, so that European soldiers who will not be able to go down into the dungeons will just stay at the top and check, making sure the Africans are doing the right stuff in here. Well, wonderful people, I think we have to go outside and see some other places of importance. And it's been very humid down here. So let's go get some fresh air.